5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer doing a final mic check for you. Oh, it looks like somebody smushed the mic here. Hi there, I'm in the streaming center, getting ready to go live, running about a minute late. But I tell you what, since we are already supposed to be live, let me show you what it looks like from our levee camera right now. And this is a live shot from Newport on the Levee across the river. Now look at the bridge there on the left. That's the Taylor Southgate Bridge. Okay, and that usually doesn't handle that much traffic. It's pretty wide. It's a pretty big bridge with wide lanes and all that. But because I-471 is still closed southbound, and that handled, and in both directions, that handled about 98,000, close to 100,000 vehicles a day. And half of those vehicles, those that are heading southbound, have to figure out some other way to get where they're going. And so a lot of the bridges and the intersections and that are all tied up around downtown Cincinnati. It is quite a mess when you're trying to get across the river and that. So looks like I've got audio levels. Looks like we're on live on Facebook. It looks like we're live also on YouTube. Roku is live, our weather app, our news app, our website, and our streaming channel. Okay, it looks like we're all set to go. And again, we are talking about some interesting weather around here. Now we have a chilly night tonight. We've got rain for the Thursday morning commute, and I'll explain why it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but we do have a first alert weather day in effect for Thursday morning because of the rain, and you know how it is. I don't ever drive the morning rush hour, but you know how it is. A little rainfall and it all turns to a mess all the time. And I'm going to use the S. Notice the hiss there? Got to be really careful when you say that. I'm going to use the S word when we get into talking about the weather when we get to beyond the 7-day forecast. We've got a lot to talk about during the day today. So let's go ahead and see what is coming our way. 47 degrees out there right now. That 47-degree temperature, not bad, not far from normal at this time of night for this time of year, and we'll be down in the upper 30s overnight. Here's another view of parts of the city. Now we are looking from Mount Auburn, over I-71, looking right out. If you went down the center of the screen, looking out right toward Norwood. That bridge over I-71, there is McMillan Street coming out of Clifton. If you keep going on McMillan, you end up in Walnut Hills. If you take a left, you end up going on to I-71, just so you can help orient yourself. But it's chilly out there. Nothing to talk about around our neck of the woods, as a matter of fact. Just not much going on at all. And if we zoom out here, you're going to think that there's not much going on to the west either. However, one of the greatest things about having weather models now is that we can see things develop. In other words, the models actually forecast systems before they form, and that helps us. Now, it doesn't mean they're always exactly right, and we have to look at several different models. We have to continue to look at them day after day, and the models continue to say, hey, something's going to happen. Now, when I first started this back in the 1970s, when I worked with a guy named Tony Sands at Channel 5, you had nothing like that. Models weren't even around. There were some models that were just beginning, but they were terrible. So when we have models, it enables you a couple of days ahead of time, sometimes a week, sometimes 15 days ahead of time to say something's going to happen. And this is one of those in the short term where the models say something's going to happen with this activity. And when we get beyond the 7-day forecast, the models are saying we might see a little bit of light, wet snow. And we'll talk about that and the timing coming up. Okay, here are the three characters that the models say are going to get together. Moisture along the Gulf Coast is going to get sucked northward by the system. Here's the jet stream coming out of the southwest. That's going to supply, oh, I did that again. That jet stream is going to supply some moisture. I'm not used to using the touch screen. And then here's the system coming out of the middle Rockies, okay? So all three of these are going to combine, get their act together, and bring us that chance of rain beginning early tomorrow evening, lasting into Thursday morning with the heaviest of the rain overnight, although I think there'll still be enough around by the morning commute on Thursday for it to be a bit of a problem. So let's go ahead. Okay, so notice, look at the streak here. Look, I'm going to put this full screen again, but pay attention to this streak, pay attention to this, and pay attention to the stuff in the Rockies. Okay, back to full screen. And what I'll do is I'll switch over to model data. Okay, here we go. And see how the model shows that jet stream, that streak of clouds. It doesn't have the resolution that the satellite image has, so it shows it more as a blob, but that gives you the idea. So there's the moisture to the south, there's the jet stream, and there's the system coming in out of the Rockies. Now watch when we put this into motion, you see how they all kind of get together. Now I'm going to take it out of play mode here, and we'll just go back and forth a little bit here. I like to do this, I call it going back and forth, okay? So what we're going to do, now watch, here they are, look at that. Okay, now watch, let's pick the moisture around the Gulf Coast around New Orleans. Watch how that just makes it northward ahead of the system. You can see the jet stream there, and you can see the system coming out of the Rockies combining with that. So we've got a southern and a northern system, and they just kind of get their act together right over top of Cincinnati in the Fox 19 Now viewing area, and that's going to bring us the rainfall. So when the rain begins, let me back this up one more time, okay? One more. Okay, right there. That is 9:50 p.m. Wednesday. This model brings it in a little bit later than some of the other models do, okay? This one brings it in a little bit later, and it leaves a little bit later on Thursday. Another model brings it in by 7 o'clock, and it's mostly out of here by the time we get to 9 a.m., but there's still some scattered showers that redevelop for the afternoon. So we'll look at that in more detail, too. Okay, so here you go. You can see the rain moving into the tri-state. Almost everybody getting rain by 6:40 a.m. So we're all, and this new model run, we're already getting close into the morning commute. And so there you see why it's a first alert weather day, because it's pretty much rain everywhere. By 8:10, it's moving out pretty quickly. And notice we end up with scattered showers in the area into the afternoon hours, and actually in this new run into the early evening hours, and then it goes away. Okay. So let me just put this back into motion, and we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens as we head into next week. So here we go. Oops, come on. Okay, here we go. Nothing going on. Here comes a little bit more precipitation. Tuesday, the 19th, at 11 a.m., looks like there's rain in the area, okay? We put this back into motion, and you see that the low kind of curls around, and look at that. That blue stuff, that is snow. So in other words, the low's up here, and the air coming around, it goes like that and drags enough cold air down here that we could see a little snow. Now notice it's the lightest shade, and remember, we're early in the season. We've had a lot of warm weather, so the ground, everything out there in the environment is a lot warmer than it normally would be at this time of year, including the roads and the trees and all that stuff. So what this looks like at this point for the, somewhere between the 19th and the 21st, because the margin of error this early is pretty widespread. I'm going to say 19th, 20th, 21st, maybe the 22nd, but somewhere in that 4-day stretch, I think we've got a good chance of seeing a little bit of wet snow, maybe wet snow mixed with rain. And again, with everything warm, with the roads warm, with the ground warm, we're just looking at a wet situation. We are not looking at a winter blast or a big winter storm. We're just looking at the second time we've had measurable snow for the winter. And when I say measurable snow, maybe 1/10 of an inch, not much more than that. Although, I don't know if you know it, but it used to be when I was coming up, and when I was younger, coming up through the business, the official policy was you just went out and you measured the snow. Well, now, because I'm not really sure why they did this, but it does give you if you can be accurate, it gives you a truer picture that if the snow comes down and melts as it hits, they estimate how much snow it would have been if it would have not melted. Okay, so sometimes you'll see the Weather Service report, 1.5 inches of snow at CVG, and you're looking at it and there's nothing but wet roads around, and that's because they estimate it based on what the ratio should be. In other words, 10-to-1 is what we usually say, but if it's warmer than that, it's less than 10-to-1. If it's colder than that, it could be 15-to-1, and they estimate that. So the snowfall that they measure isn't always measured. Sometimes it's estimated because it melts as it hits, okay? But the point for us now is that 19th, 20th, 21st, maybe into the 22nd, we have the chance for a little bit of wet snow and some pretty chilly air around the tri-state. Okay, and there you see what it looks like. That's the morning of the 21st. That's a Thursday. Okay, and you can see it just then kind of pulls off to the north and east. Now, for the rain that's coming our way, okay, this is Wednesday night into Thursday, so from the beginning to the end of the event, The new European models kicked out a lot more rain than it did the last 2 runs. It's saying many areas getting close to or a little bit more than an inch. Now, it's got the heaviest rainfall up around Batesville and Connorsville. And if this comes down slowly enough, this is exactly what we need. Another long-term soaking rain to help recharge that soil, help get some of those farm ponds back up to where they're more usable, things like that. But so this is just the entire event, okay? Wednesday night through Thursday, maybe as much as a little bit more than an inch, close to 1.25 inches of rainfall in some spots. Okay, but what about the morning commute? Well, with the models, we can actually take this and narrow this time frame down, and I do just that on the second panel here, and you can see from 6 a.m. through 9 a.m., so that 3-hour stretch, which kind of is the morning commute, you've only got a few hundredths of an inch, maybe 1700ths in Hamilton, 1500ths, Middletown, 18 in Lebanon, but a good portion of the viewing area, not much in the way of rainfall, with the heaviest rainfall for the morning commute from Wilmington to Hillsborough to Georgetown to Maysville to Mount Olivet. Still looks like it's going to be pretty wet. And you know what it is. If you drive that morning commute on wet days, you know how nasty it can be, and it probably looks like a slow go for Thursday morning. I have little doubt that it'll be a mess. I mean, it almost always is. I don't know what it is about rain and drivers, but it's that way a lot. So count on Thursday morning being a slow go for that morning commute. All right, so now low temperatures this morning. Look at that, 31 at the Butler County Regional Airport in the Hamilton area. Excuse me for a second, I've got to wet my whistle here. Officially at CVG, it dropped to 38, 37 in Lebanon, Wilmington at 34, 30 in Washington Courthouse. Although Washington Courthouse is not really in our viewing area, it's close enough that that would be the coldest one I saw around the region. And then high temperatures today, officially 53 at CVG, was only 50 in Lebanon. Look at the high 46 up in Richmond, Indiana. 54 in Madison, Falmouth, and Maysville. Also at Lunken Airport and Hamilton were 54. And so you see it was a chilly day. And right now, temperatures are already down into the 30s in Richmond. That's not that surprising since they only made it into the mid-40s. 41 in Harrison, the Butler County Regional Airport at 42. Hook Field in Middletown, that's down in the Great Miami River Valley, so it's subjected to that cold air drainage, 39, and 43 at Lunken Airport. So it's pretty chilly, but there's no precipitation coming our way this evening. So the sun set at 5:27. We're expecting the temperature to drop to 40 by 11 p.m. and then overnight down to about 35 with the sun coming up at 7:18. So dry roads, clouds increasing in the area, mainly high clouds, should be enough to blot out any of that sun glare like we had this morning. Chilly with temperatures in the low to upper 30s depending upon your location. Okay, now the Climate Prediction Center, this is new today. Again, this is the one, the first two here are updated every single day. We're looking at warmer than normal weather over most of the eastern U.S., and if you remember from yesterday, this colder than normal is a little bit further east. This normal band's a little bit further east. We're still kind of in the center of the warmer than normal, but we stay warmer than normal, it looks like, through the 22nd of November. Through the 26th of November, look at this. This is a big change. We are between normal and above normal. And when we see the graphs of the extended forecast I have, you'll see what I mean. And then the 3 to 4 week temperature outlook saying back to above normal. But remember, this one's only issued every week on Fridays. It's not an everyday product. And so when we see this on Friday, I think what you're going to see is the warmer than normal is a lot smaller and farther northeast, and we're near normal. Okay? Precipitation-wise, we are still here in the viewing area. Not much, but a little bit above normal through the 22nd. We are between normal and above normal through the 26th. And the one that gets updated on Friday, it says we're near normal around the tri-state. Okay, so your 7-day forecast looks like this. Low tonight 37, high tomorrow 62, clouds increase and rain late in the day. More than likely, and once I get through all the forecasts, I'll go back to another model that's higher resolution and show you what I think is a more accurate view of what's going to happen. Rain can be heavy at times Thursday morning. Most of the heavy rain before the morning commute, but there still will be some patches during the morning commute that slow things down. Clouds decrease Friday. partly cloudy Saturday, mostly cloudy Sunday, so 3 dry days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday, I've got scattered showers, and Tuesday, I've got scattered showers. And notice the temperatures at 55 for the high, very close to normal for this time of year. And same thing with the lows. Even lows in the upper 30s are close to normal now. So we don't have anything extreme, no extreme warm weather and no extreme cold weather coming our way. Now, here we go, beyond the 7-day forecast. All right, so this is the 20th through the 26th. Remember, Thanksgiving is 2 days later than this on the 28th. And what you see is that each day, and it's changed a little bit from yesterday. Yesterday we had 7 days in a row with the possibility of rain. But now I've got 5 in a row with the possibility of precipitation, and then 25th and 26th leading into Thanksgiving looks dry. Now, for travelers in and around, by car, in and around the viewing area, let's say you're going within 100 miles of your home, it doesn't look bad for Thanksgiving, at least through Thursday and Friday, Thanksgiving and Black Friday. A little bit too far out to talk about the weekend yet. But right now, it's looking at least the Thanksgiving holiday is going to start off without any weather that will cause you a big problem. All right, so let's get back to this. So we had the possibility of rain each of these days through the 24th. And I mentioned yesterday, if you were watching, that look at this. We have the possibility of rain, but look at all these mornings with lows in the 30s, okay? And I was saying, well, because everything's warm, because the air's not going to be all that cold, it looks like we've got the possibility of some wet snow or wet snow and rain mixed during this 4-day stretch. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen each and every one of these 4 days. What we have when you get this far out in time, you've kind of got a, you've got earliest that you could see, the latest you could see. And in this case, I think we'll probably see some in here, not each of those 4 days, but I mean, give it a chance to move back and forth based on the way the storm moves, how fast it moves, whether it slows down. So we are talking about 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, the possibility of a little bit of wet snow. It does not look to be an accumulating event at this point, although we'll probably see some accumulation and measured accumulations on grassy areas. The ground's still pretty warm, but just a little wet snow event, and that's why the question marks are there. It's very unsure at this time, may not happen at all, but right now I'm thinking that is the scenario. And once this system gets out of the way, as we head toward Thanksgiving Day, we start off on the dry side. Maybe after Thanksgiving, go into some more wet weather, but right now it's looking pretty dry through Thanksgiving weekend. Whew. Okay, now let me go ahead and take a look at the summary graphic here of the next 14 days, temperature-wise. And what you'll see here is, oops, hit the button. Oh, wrong button. Hit this one. Okay, now we got it. You can see the cooling trend in the highs and the lows. We put the normal on there. Notice that the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and the 25th, or the 25th and 26th, all have slightly below normal high temperatures, but low temperatures that are just a little bit above normal. So those are the days we're expecting the possibility of a little bit of wet snow. It's not, notice we don't have lows below freezing, so it's not going to be a big system that piles up and gets freezing and icy, but it definitely, we do have that chance of getting a little wet snow or a little wet snow and rain mixed as we had from the 19th, well, not the 19th so much, but into the 20s, the 21st, 22nd, the primary days, but maybe even a little bit longer than that. All right, so that is that. Let me go over and see what people are saying on Facebook. I'm sure there's going to be a couple people that are happy to hear the S word. Notice how when I say the S word, I make sure I get that hiss in there so you know which word I'm talking about. Got to be careful. You know, the F-bomb is not something you want to drop in mixed company or in company where you're supposed to be acting as a professional. So I say S-bomb just to make sure you got what I mean. All right, let me go over to Facebook here. Jeez, come on. Why can't I find it? All right, there we go. Sarah DeWitt says, hey, Steve, hope you're having a good evening. I am, Sarah. I hope you are, too. We are, again, looking at, let me see what we've got on the screen here. Okay. Jeez, I am having more trouble. Some days it's just, okay, now we can do this. Okay, now I'm on the screen. So Sarah, thank you. I'm having a great day. I'm enjoying weather, and whenever there's interesting weather to forecast, I enjoy that. And Sarah's the only one so far that has commented. Oh, Kyle Allen said, are we on tap for a snowy winter? Great question, Kyle. And I'm going to have to kind of be very general, or you might think evasive. But we've got the El Nino pattern last winter. This winter, it's supposed to be a La Nina, but the La Nina pattern is not developing all too quickly, and that could leave us vulnerable to more snow. Now, Ethan Emery and I were looking at it. I went back and looked at all of the La Nina winters to the 1850s and looked at all the snowfall amounts that we've gotten since then, and there's not much of a relationship between the amount of snow during a La Nina winter and the La Nina winter. However, if it's a strong La Nina, there's usually more rain than possible. And what I'm getting at here is that because in a La Nina winter we're typically close to normal temperature-wise, if we get a rainy system that comes through and we're a little bit above normal, that's probably rain. For a little bit below normal, it could be snow. So I think we'll have our fair share of snow. I don't think we'll have any snowfall if the La Nina develops. I don't think we'll have any snowfall that falls in 5 or 6 inches and then gets so cold that it just stays there for weeks. That's not in the picture. I think what's in the picture is we could have a few accumulating snow events, a few trouble causers. I don't think the conditions are looking like it'll get cold after that snow event and it'll stay on the ground and freeze solid like it does sometimes. You know how it is. I'm sure everybody's look, oh my gosh, look at all that snow out there, and they say it's going to drop to 0. I better get the snow up before it's a big block of ice on my sidewalk. That's not the kind of thing that's in the works. I think we have a chance for getting several snow episodes. We don't have much of a chance with the La Nina forming of getting a long, cold blast of Arctic air, which would take any snow in the ground and freeze it solid. But if the La Nina fails to develop, it could be fairly snowy around the tri-state because temperatures will slip a little bit. So right now, what I can say, it does not look like a repeat of 2014, January 2014, which was very cold. It does not look like a repeat of 77, 78. It looks more like a winter with frequent precipitation events, most of them rain, some accumulating snow, but no deep freeze that last for a long time. And that's the way it looks right now. And you know what? I'll even be able to tell you better when we get to April because it'll be behind us. That's a weatherman joke. So yeah, we should have an interesting winter. A lot of activity, some of it's snowy, but no deep freeze for weeks at a time. All right. So those are the only 2 comments. So for those of you that aren't commenting, I will go back over the forecast here. I'll start back with, let me start, oh yeah, I wanted to show you the other model, the close-up model, because I just showed you the wide model. Let me show you, I just have to find it. It's such a, Ethan Emery and his space on the weather computer, everything's so organized. It's like, oh, now this is my show for when it's raining heavy. This is my show for when it's raining light. This is my, and Steve is, like I told you, it's like going to a sock drawer that's been like that for years. That's the way mine looks. All kinds of odds and ends that don't match. I eventually find it though. So, but Ethan Emery, very, very meticulous in the way he's got things organized, which is a good thing. All right. And Ashley's more like me. It's hers. Whenever I have to use her rundown for whatever reason, it's like hers is the way she understands it. I can't quite make my way through it. So, but that's the way it is. Everybody's a little different. Okay, I'm trying to find that. I've got to take my glasses off so I can read this better. What I'm looking for is the close-up. I showed you the wide version of the model run, and geez, I keep finding many copies of the visibility thing. Okay, here we go. I got it. Found it now. So what we're going to look at here and I'll show it to you full screen. As I showed you before, the wide view showing you how the rain's moving in when it gets out of here. Now this model doesn't go all the way out. This model does not go all the way out to as far as when we think there might be some wet snow, but this will give you a pretty good idea of what it looks like rain-wise. And this is the model. I looked at all of them, and this is the model I think has the best handle on it together. So here it is, full screen. So this is saying the 7 p.m. temperatures in the 40s. The model is in really good shape with those temperatures at 7 p.m. As we head to 11 o'clock, that is high cloud cover coming in advance of that jet stream. Okay, that's not cloud cover that causes precipitation. It's 15 to 25,000 feet above the ground, and thin stuff you can usually see stars through. But that will thicken up overnight. Notice temperatures dropping off, and by the time we get to 7 a.m. with thicker cloud cover, we're looking at, according to this model, temperatures in the low to middle 30s. I think it's a degree or two cool, but we're talking about temperatures in the 30s in almost all locations around the tri-state. Okay, then as we head through the day, you can see we warm up to 60 in some spots. Now by the time we get to 5:30 p.m., here is the beginning of the rainfall. I guess if I move over this way, you can see it a little bit better. Here's the beginning of the rainfall, just moving toward Carrollton, toward Versailles, toward Batesville. That rainfall, again, kind of light, but it is starting to move in by about 5:30. Okay, by the time we get to 7:30, it's into Connorsville and Liberty. It's about to move into Butler County. It's moved into Hamilton. It's already into Boone, Kenton, parts of Campbell, and it's all the way over to Brooksville, maybe. Okay, so that's by 7:30 p.m. Okay, by 1 a.m., rain all over most of the Fox 19 Now viewing area. And then by 8:30 a.m., notice how almost all the rain has moved off to the east, and we still have scattered showers from Wilmington to Hillsborough to Georgetown to West Union to Vanceburg, Maysville, Mount Olivet. And then I'll put it back into motion here. And you can see some additional shower activity develops behind this. So as we head into the afternoon, just a few hit and miss showers around the tri-state, and then it all goes away. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now is go back to that little cube where I showed you the precipitation amounts. And you just saw how that rain is going to cover most of the area. So on this panel, you can see this is from before the rain begins to after the rain ends on Thursday evening. The European model here has considerably higher amounts than it did yesterday by about a half an inch in many locations. But parts of Lewis County, the Maysville area, Georgetown, Dry Ridge, Batesville, Connorsville, all may see an inch or a little bit more of rainfall according to this model. Everybody else has still got a significant soaking rain event. So after the rain we've had earlier, or actually had last week, actually Sunday it was, so it was earlier in the week, this would be a welcome addition for the soil. Okay, so we are looking at now that's for the entire event. So that goes from Wednesday night through Thursday. Let's go back to this and see what it looks like just as we go through the morning commute. Okay, so this is what happens between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. All right, only a few hundredths in Connorsville, Batesville, Lawrenceburg, Beebe, Dry Ridge, Florence, downtown Cincinnati. All those areas may have wet roads, may have some big puddles left over, but not much new rain coming down during the morning commute. But when you get farther to the north and east, so from Hamilton to Lebanon to Middletown, enough rain to slow things down. Same thing to the south, Owenton to Falmouth, to Mount Olivet, to Maysville, and then to the east, and look at that. In 3 hours, 3/400ths of an inch in Hillsborough. That's pretty much rain, and it's going to slow you down as you head out the door Thursday morning, and that's why we have that as a first alert weather day. All right, so we covered the main story here. So go to, it's just loading. Go to the evening forecast. And the evening forecast looks like this. We're talking about 47 right now, dropping to about 40 by 11 p.m. And notice clouds thicken up a little bit, down to 37 for the overnight low. Now this model just changed it. It says 35 at 7 a.m. I'm going to stick with the 37 for the official low. even though the model run has changed what it says on the basically on the graph there. So 35 to 37 degrees. So your roads dry, clouds increasing, temperatures chilly in the low to upper 30s around the tri-state for that morning. Warmer than normal through the 22nd, warmer than normal through the 26th, warmer than normal through December 10th, wetter than normal by a little bit, not flooding rains or really soggy, but wetter than normal through the 22nd, near normal to a little bit wetter than normal through the 26th, and then near normal through December 10th, okay? With no major cold air outbreak or major big winter storm fiascos coming our way through that time period. 7-day forecast, 37 tonight, 62 tomorrow, periods of rain beginning late in the day, probably early evening. First alert weather day on Thursday with that rain during the morning hours causing a slow morning commute and then tapering off. And then highs in the 50s for Friday and Saturday with dry weather. Highs in the 60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Sunday looks dry, but Monday and Tuesday look wet. And then we've got 5 out of 7 days and beyond the 7-day that look like they'll have some precipitation. High temperatures below normal. 44 is below normal for the high temperature. So we've got several days there with temperatures below normal. Morning lows on the chilly side, and it looks just chilly enough for there to be a little bit of wet snow, maybe a little rain-snow mix. And again, it doesn't mean, you see those 4 raindrops with snowflakes in them, that doesn't mean it's going to occur for 4 days in a row. But when you get that far out in the future, you've got a certain amount of uncertainty. How fast is the storm going to move in and move out? How strong is it going to be? How far north and south is it going to be? Okay, so all those things will vary a little bit, and that's why I've said be prepared for anywhere from the 21st to the 24th for a little bit of rain, snow mixed. I really think it's more likely with all the model data out there now, the 19th to the 22nd, maybe into the 23rd, but I think by the 24th it'll probably be gone. And here's your summary graphic of the next 14 days temperature-wise. Notice the cooling trend on both the highs and lows. So we dip down below normal for 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. 25th too, and 26th for that matter. So the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, last 6 days, cooler than normal on the high temperature by a little bit, and then a little bit warmer than normal on the low temperature side. Okay, one more quick check with Facebook. Okay, we got a few more in here. Susan Wally says, hello. Hi, Susan. Hope you're doing okay. Do I think it'll freeze tonight? I do not think so. Okay, but yeah, maybe out in the rural areas, it'll get close. It'll be very close to freezing, and but with the cloud cover thickening up, it's probably not going to be that cold. But I would say close to 32 overnight. So you're getting close to freezing. Okay. Mary Robinson says hello from Hamilton, Ohio. Hello, Mary. Okay. All right, and that's all. Those are all the comments. So what I'm going to do is call it a night. We've been doing this now for 33 minutes. Actually, I was a minute late, so it's 2 minutes late. So let's say 31 minutes. So that is it for now. Thank you for joining me. Have yourself a nice night. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk more about that possibility of a little bit of wet snow, and we'll look in more detail at what Thursday morning looks like with that first alert weather day and rain coming into the tri-state. So that's it. Have yourself a nice night.